Cookin Dixie Chicks. I'm Dana from Andersonville, Tennessee, but now I live in Hollywood, Florida. I started this YouTube channel because I wanted to share all those delicious foods that I enjoyed as a child so that my children, grandchildren, and great-grandchildren can prepare those foods in their kitchen. I also enlisted some of my friends and relatives from Dixie to also record some of their favorite foods for their family and to share with all of you. So let's get busy cooking in Dixie. We're going to be making Dana's Buttermilk Biscuits. So now let's make up our dough. We're using the White Lily self-rising flour. Now you never want to take a spoon and put in the bag and dip it up and expect that to be an accurate measurement. Such as doing this. This is going to make it very inaccurate because you are packing in the flour. So please avoid that. What the better method is I have poured some additional flour into this particular bowl that I'm going to be used for the loose flour. And now I'm going to take my whisk and I'm going to loosen up that flour. If there's a lot of lumps in it, then you may sift it, but usually sifting is not necessary with White Lily flour. So I'm just stirring it around to loosen it up. Now, as I said, I'm going to show you how to weigh. So we're going to turn on our scale, place our cup on, and then deduct for the weight of the cup. It's zeroed out. Now I'm going to take a spoon and I'm going to fill up this cup, or nearly fill it up until it reaches 120 grams. And I'm up to about 76, so I'm going to keep going. That's 101. 117. Just about have it. Okay, a little bit too much there. There is exactly 120. And I'm going to just sort of level this off to see if that would really be accurate if I had just used a cup. And as you can see, it's really not quite a full cup with this particular flour. So I'm better off measuring it. The recipe for this is going to be in the comments below. So feel free to check that out. There's also some handy tips that I've made for you there about different types of flours and buttermilk, as well as how to prepare your dough. So lots of nice tips. 120. So again, if I had just used the cup measure, I probably would have a little bit too much because this is not quite full. So that is a more accurate way. So now we're finished with the scale. We can set that aside. And now I want to add the other dry ingredients, and that's a half a teaspoon of baking soda. Now here's where I'm going to use my empty container, and I'm just going to level this off using the knife. Okay, so there's a half a teaspoon, and I'm going to do the same with the sugar. Okay. Now what I want to do is to take my whisk again and stir up these dry ingredients. Be sure that everything is blended very well. And this is what I'm doing. Now I want to add the shortening. And it calls for 1/4 of a cup. And I'm going to put just slightly less than that. And I'm going to tell you the reason why. The reason why is buttermilk comes in low fat, whole milk, and then gourmet. And today I'm using what we would call as gourmet. And the difference there is that it has a higher fat content. In fact, this is said to be 11% fat. Regular whole milk is like about 3%, and 1% or 2% low fat milk is going to be so much lower. So I probably don't need quite the fourth 1 cup, which you would need if you were using whole milk. So again, you want to keep it cold, and it's been in the refrigerator. So now I'm going to cut it in using a rocking movement. And I'll shake it off as it sticks to the pastry cutter. And my aim here is to get the shortening blended until we have about the small pea size bits of shortening. I don't want it totally meshed into the flour, but just made into small pieces. And that's going to give a nicer rise as the steam builds up and separates the flakes of biscuit. Now we're going to check and see if we have the right size. See if anything is larger than a pea size. And basically we have just about the right size now. There's one more bit of shortening that maybe we do need to blend a little bit more. So that should do that. And again, I'm using my liquid container, and I'm going to pour in just slightly shy of the full cup to be sure that I don't oversaturate it with liquid. I need to look, there's my fork. So I'm going to just start pouring in the center and moving my fork as I do. See, this is the beauty of having this round bowl. It moves with me. So now I'm going to keep that much there and stir. Again, I'm stirring in, mixing the flour in it. Now it looks like it's going to take more, so I'm going to go ahead and pour a little bit more and blend that. Actually, the ball should start to follow my fork around when it's totally combined. I think I'm going to need the rest of the milk. Again, each time you make it, you'll find the liquid varies just a little bit. You may need more or you may need less. If you do need more, some recipes call for adding regular sweet milk rather than buttermilk for that extra amount. Again, you only want to stir until you've incorporated the flour, no further. Because again, you don't want to overwork your dough. It is going to be shaggy looking. It's going to be wet looking. And we are just about there. So this is what my dough is now looking like. So I'm going to clean off my fork right now and prepare my rolling board or my mat for rolling out the dough. Get this out of the way. So now I'm going to take a little bit of my flour and put it out on the silicone pad. Move this over so you can see what I'm doing a little bit better. And I also want to coat my rolling pin with flour and my hands. No way to get around this. Your hands are going to get dusty with flour. Now I'm going to go ahead and just dump this out on my mat. You can see it's very, very soft, very wet. And I'm going to now sprinkle some flour on that so I can handle it. Get plenty on my hands. And now I'm not really going to knead this. Some recipes call for kneading, but I have found that I do better by just getting it into a ball and then rolling it out. Otherwise, if you handle it too much and you get it warmed up, you're not going to have as tender a biscuit. Each time you make it, it's going to be just slightly different. So I'm going to make it into a nice ball. Make sure it's holding together and it looks pretty smooth. And I'm going to pat it down just a little bit before I start rolling. Be sure it's not going to stick to my rolling pin. Now I'm going to take it and very gently. I may need a little bit more flour. Don't want this sticking. And I want to roll it until it's about an inch thick. So I want those to be nice fat biscuits. Okay, I think that's just about got it. Now I want to take my biscuit cutter, and every time I cut a biscuit, I want it to be, let me put this here, I want it to go straight down, like that. And sometimes it's going to stay on the board, and sometimes you can just lift it right off. So I have my parchment lined cake pan, and I'm going to just start putting it in it. Again, I'm going to go straight down. Again, this is very soft dough. Makes it a little bit harder to handle, but creates a fluffier biscuit. Theoretically, I should be getting about 12 biscuits out of this particular recipe. Okay, now I'm going to go ahead and move them over, and I'm going to let them just about touch each other because that makes them rise high instead of spreading out. I don't want them to spread out. I want them to go tall. I have room for one more. So now what I'm going to do is to go ahead and put this dough back together. Again, I'll roll this out just a tad. And again, let's clean this off and dip it back in my flour. And I think this is going to fill up this pan. Again, this is 10 and I can probably get 2 more. So now I'm going to go and check to see if my oven's ready, and we are preheating it to 450 degrees, and I'll be back. Now I have just taken them out of the oven. I'm going to show you what they look like. They're nice and brown. They rose up, stayed close to each other. Now I'm going to take and I'm going to just touch a little bit of butter to the top to make them shine and give them a slightly brown color. Now, if yours didn't get quite brown enough, you can stick it back in the oven for 30 seconds to maybe a minute. I don't think mine need that, so I'm just going to brush them with butter. And then we're going to fix a plate. I'm going to invite you to have a taste. So now here is the finished product. Here is the entire whole biscuit. I've got it turned upside down so you can see the nicely browned bottom. And then the melted butter is just yummy, 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 ready to be eaten. Either with your favorite strawberries or strawberry jam or honey. whatever you choose. Thanks so much for joining us today. In addition to Dana's Buttermilk Biscuits, we're going to be making Dana's Buttermilk Cornbread, Angel Biscuits, gravy, chicken and dumplings, sour cream pound cake, and lots more good Southern cooking. So come back and join us on Cookin Dixie Chicks.